couple of the things that I've done have been working really hard to make rubrics for each of my standards, so that way the students are very clear on what the expectations are for each of those standards. And so what I'll do in class is when I introduce a new standard and I'll go through the rubric, it's almost like a checklist of the things they need to do in order to be proficient in that standard. And mine are kind of working up to proficient. So like we'll start in like, what does it take to be beginning? And then I'll show them all like those prerequisite skills that they need. And then we'll kind of move into the emerging bucket is what I call it. Because it's kind of a big space of like, you kind of know it, you kind of don't, you're in the middle of like where you're at. And then the proficient would be the, I know it all, I can do it without any help, and I can check all these boxes. And so I try to make it very student friendly in the way that I talk about it and in the way that I show them, so that way they can use it and see what they're expected to do. And then what I'll also try and do throughout a lesson or throughout a chapter is when we do formatives or things like that, I'll show them some student work of, here would be an example of something that's more in the beginning area. Here's something that would be a really great proficient example. Here would even be an example of something that's advanced. And that way the students can also see their own work reflected in the examples that I show them. And that has also been really empowering, because then the students can kind of look and self-reflect like, ooh, I'm not there yet, I'm still at the beginning, or I'm definitely advanced on this. And so it's really fun to hear them have that language with their learning, because they can kind of take that as their own, take ownership of their learning. I think the biggest thing has been feeling like I'm grading fairly, because when you first start standards-based grading, it can feel very subjective, and you're just looking at some stuff trying to figure out, do they know it or do they not? And the more that I've been working with the rubrics and the more that I've been looking at grading like with my other teammates to make sure that we're grading it consistently, I've been able to really feel more empowered as the professional and as the teacher to really decide, does this student know what it is or not? And so now that we're kind of looking at this 4-point scale, it's a lot easier to be like, do they know it or do they not? And if they know it, how well do they know it? And if they don't, how much are they missing? And so that has kind of helped me feel a lot better. And if I'm not sure about something, I'll go across the hall and I'll ask another teacher, how would you grade this? Where do you think they're at? And so being able to have multiple perspectives on a test or formative or quiz or whatever it is to help me feel like I'm grading without bias. And then I'll also cover up student names, so that way I'm not feeling like, certain kids are getting different treatment, because I definitely don't want people to feel like just because a teacher likes them that they're going to get a different grade than someone else. I just want to tell anyone who's worried about standards-based grading that when you first start it, it may seem really big and scary and overwhelming, but it's really not as bad as it seems. And once you get into it and you start doing it, it's really actually more informational about what you know and what you don't know. And so when you're able to look at standards-based grading and see, hey, I actually know this, it makes it a lot easier for everybody in the building, teachers, parents, students, everybody, to be able to look and see that this grade actually represents your knowledge of the material. So it's really not as scary as people make it out to be.